Hey guys, Mike here for Rapid Purple. Putting together another video that was actually influenced by a little bit of a recent headache that I had with my internet connection here at the new office, and it's actually a very similar headache to what I had previously at my house, probably about half a year back. And I realized that I definitely am not the only one. Actually, specifically talking to my landlord, I realized I'm not the only one because he had a very, very similar issue. And that issue was horrible, horrible wireless speeds or general internet speeds or very frequent timeouts. Now, for anybody that has ever went and read reviews on routers, you always have a ton of people that post reviews like drops connection all the time, drop signal all the time, constantly lose connection, horrible, worst thing in the world. And that also kind of made me realize that a lot of people are essentially blaming their router for things that's really not the router's fault. So I wanted to throw this video together and help everybody out there that's having, a router that's constantly timing out, internet speeds that are just crap, and they really shouldn't be. Like you have a new N router, and you have cable, from Optimum, for example, just because that's what I have, and you're hitting download speeds of like 1 to 2 megabits a second. This is what this video is for. So that was exactly the issues that I was having. My router was very frequently timing out. My wireless speeds were, ridiculously erratic. And then my internet speeds kind of fluctuated ridiculously as well and went along with the timeouts and so forth. Now, this was in the past where I had Optimum's old D-Link router that I do not remember the name or model or anything of. So I called Optimum first because I knew that they made a new router, which is now dual band as opposed to the other one, so I wanted to just see what that was. And it's free when you have router problems. So I called them up. They verified that my router was timing out. Sent me over this new D-Link unit, which I guess I can show you because I don't have it plugged in. So it's a D-Link DIR868L. What I can tell you is that it's dual band. It's got 4 ports. It's got a media share port. And I know absolutely nothing else about this thing. I realistically used it for probably 5 hours or so, and I am no longer using it. And I will explain why as we get into it. And it's not that it's a horrible router. It just didn't allow me to do things that I needed to do. So, a very, 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 very brief kind of overview of wireless networks. Wireless broadcasts over, varying on your setup, Windows, which version, Linux, and so forth and so on, about 13 different channels across 2 different frequencies, the 2.4 gigahertz range and the 5 gigahertz range. Now, let's say that you are in a very populated area. You are in the middle of Wall Street, New York City. You're surrounded by skyscrapers with dozens and dozens and possibly hundreds of offices around you, and everybody's running a wireless network of sorts here, 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 and there, and there. You have a ton of people on all these frequencies across all channels. Mostly all channels. Now, the majority of routers are set to auto mode for channels, especially the ones that come from Optimum. Actually, all I'm going to say is about the ones that come to Optimum because I don't have any other provider, never had. Actually been with Cablevision and Optimum for over a decade at this point. So, couldn't tell you about all the other ones, but the Optimum ones and the Linksys routers that I've had all came set to auto channel. Now, this does a couple of things. What this does is the router will periodically look for the best possible channel to be on. And the way that it determines this is it sees what is on all the other channels, which channels are being used the most, which channels are being used the least, and puts you kind of to transmit over that channel that is being used the least. This way you kind of have the most bandwidth, you have better signal quality, You have better speeds, you have better everything, really. And it's because it's, I mean, just imagine, it's obviously a lot easier to yell one thing from one side of the room to the other when there's only one other person in the room to hear it, and not when 40 other people are yelling along with you. You can kind of run the same concept through to this. Or, back when you were little and your parents gave you walkie-talkies, unless I just had a really shitty childhood, and I was the only one that got walkie-talkies as presents, but that aside, you got these walkie-talkies, and you'd browse through channels and find somebody on some other channel and so forth. You'd listen to them and be fun, and you try to say random crap and scare them. But imagine if you actually had to have a real conversation with somebody else while somebody else was having a conversation with somebody else on the same exact channel. Things would get rather confusing and annoying, and would obviously be more delayed. That is kind of a very basic outlook on the way that this works with wireless networks in very saturated areas. So when your router is set to auto, it periodically has to go through these things where it looks for the best channel and puts you onto this best channel, and sometimes it gets confused and it puts you onto one and needs to put you onto another one, and these things take time. Now when I say time, it could take 10 seconds, it could take 20 seconds, but during this time your router could time out. If that happens to be the exact same moment that you are browsing, that you typed in a website URL to get to and you pressed enter, and that's the exact same couple of seconds it's trying to put you onto the best possible channel, for you, you're going to be sitting there like, my internet's out. 5 seconds in, my internet's out. 10 seconds in, my internet's out. 30 seconds in, I'm calling Optimum. What the fuck is going on? But it's not Optimum's fault. It's actually the router's fault, in a way. Now, the router's trying to do the best thing for you, but it has to go through so much because you may be in such a saturated area, or an area where fishy things are being done, and I'll tell you. That it's having to go through a lot of work in order to try to do the best thing possible for you. So, what do we have to do? Well, we have to kind of take that workload off of our router. We have to go out and we have to pick the best possible channel for ourselves to be on. Which means that we need to go out there and see which channels are being used the most, which ones are being used the least, and set our router to that. Now, this brings me to why I am now using a Linksys WRT150N. Do I even have that right? I know it's a 150N. Now really... Yep, 150N, version 1.1. Which I actually flashed to run DDWRT on, which, has made that 10 times better than I guess it was when I was sitting in the closet collecting dust. But definitely unleashed a lot of power about it. I'll briefly touch base on DDWRT, but I don't want to make this a video about that. If anything, we'll do that later. Come back here and link like my face or something to that video. But anyway, I'm now using that for the following reason. With this specific router, and I never tried this with my old one, and I never tried this with any other one because Optimum doesn't give me a router at my house. With this specific one, when you go to the settings for it, first off, they redirect to Optimum's website, which is a little bit annoying. So it's in 192.168.1.1, it will point you over to Optimum, like .net/router or something like that. And you could do very basic things in there, but what you cannot do is set specific channels, which sucks for me because of how saturated my area is. So, well, I essentially couldn't really keep using that because I saw that every single time that, the 3 offices around next to me that decided to go get their camera systems from Costco and all run IP cameras that, none of them really produce normal session IDs and don't broadcast them, and all utilize essentially the 2.4 gigahertz network, and they happen to have like 9 to 11 of them, and they all try to run on different channels to be nice and safe. It abuses this whole area around me. So I decided, well, you know what, I had this 150N laying around. Let's run that for now. So first thing that we now have to do, having a router laying around, is we have to find the best possible network to be on, or the best possible channel to be on. So how do we do this? If you have Linux, and you have like Ubuntu, for example, This is ridiculously easy for you to do. All you have to do is not be scared of the terminal. Do not be scared of the terminal. The terminal is your friend. Anyway, what you can do is essentially run a quick command that's, pre-installed. I know with Ubuntu. I'm not 100% sure with where else. And I'll put that command down below, which essentially will list the various frequencies in use around you and the channels that they are on. And again, I'll put the command down directly below so you can see what's going on. You can use the same exact command, slightly altered to show which channels your Wi-Fi adapter supports, so you can make sure that you match it up to the perfect, thing, whether it's 5 gigahertz, 2.4, and which channels across each things. And you literally type in the crap that I am showing up on the screen now, somewhere when we edit this. And you will essentially get the following, which again shows us the frequencies in use around us and the channels that are being used. So based on this, we could, safely say that, we want to be on channel 3 on 2.4 gigahertz because it's not being used. Would be great. If you're on Mac, OS X has an awesome thing in there called Wireless Diagnostics. Throw that open. So click the little Wi-Fi, thing in the top right. Hit Wireless Diagnostics. Move your cursor to the menu bar and select Windows Utilities. Go to Wi-Fi Scan. Hit Scan Now, and you will get, bam, the following, which will list the various networks around you, their session IDs, what they're broadcasting on, noise levels, and the channels that they are on. Furthermore, OS X goes as far as to tell you these are the best channels that you should be on, making life super easy. If you're on Windows, it's obviously more of a pain in the ass because Windows. So head on over to my favorite tool for this specific thing. If you are not already running DDWRT, head on over to nursoft.net and go to Wi-Fi Info View, which they actually just updated. I think it's the most recently updated software that they have. They make a lot of awesome things, NetScan and things to check your network for different things and see what IPs are being in use and so forth. Scroll all the way down this slightly confusing page that they have until you find the first download link. And there's many download links. Hit that, you'll download it, it's an executable file. I'm not running this on something that has a wireless card, so I cannot utilize this to do the search. However, you'll essentially get the screenshot all the way up just like this, and you can see all the channels that are being used, then find for yourself the channel that is not, so you know which one is the best channel for you. The way that I go about doing it is using DDWRT, because I went ahead and flashed that over onto my 150N over there from Linksys, and head on over to, I want to say, wireless and or status. Somewhere in here, I'll find it. You give me a second. There you go. Status, wireless, either site survey, or for a significantly more fun graphical look, you can do the Weavies. You never get that right. Survey. Anyway, you can just go ahead and hit that. It'll show you all the things that are currently being in use. I guess all their IP cams are off right now, so there's actually not a lot of things being utilized right now, which is kind of cool. The printer is mine, and it's on channel 9, which is pretty much what I've been setting everything of mine to. And so that's definitely good to know. But so I would essentially look through this, take a look at all of that, and then go into my wireless setup and choose the wireless channel that I would love to be on. Again, putting it onto auto made it always kind of jump back and forth and so forth, so I chose 9 for myself, swapped it to that, called it a day. You'll essentially have roughly the same exact look whether you do this on Linksys, on Netgear, or so forth. You're looking for the channel, for the wireless channel, for you to set. And you're going to set that to the whichever one is you found is not being used kind of the most or isn't being used at all. Set yourself to that, and I mean, you'll... Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run this test. So we're still set to channel 9. Now my computer hates Flash and recording videos at the same exact time. And having Google Chrome open and Photoshop and a few FTP windows. And a bunch of other crap. But, that being said, we will begin this test, which will, again, act up a little bit because Flash and 80 things open plus recording a screen at the same time. But this is the quick computer that I have to utilize that I'm making this video on, and at some point I really need to bring my other computer from home into here. But anyway, we're going to run that, and at the same time I'm going to open the speed test app on my phone, which is connected wirelessly to our 150 and over there, and see what things look like, once they finish. Which for now we look like we're going to hit about 11 megabits down. So download speeds on here we hit to 15.96, and this thing is doing its upload now at 3, so we'll wait for both to knock themselves out, and kind of take it from there. Now keep in mind I, in here, the office pay for the very, very basic Optimum package. I'm not paying for Ultra 50 or anything else like that. So we're not expecting anything ridiculously crazy. This is actually exactly what we're expecting from here to 18. So we have 15.96 over there, and how do I... Ooh, bam. And we have, the hell do we have? 14.18 on here. Now this is with us set to channel 9, and this is kind of what I would expect to have. Now let's go back to our wireless status and see what is kind of really the difference between the being on different channels and so forth. So let's try channel 1. And I might want to hop around between channel 1 and channel 11 because Optimum Wi-Fi will have a lot of other people sitting on Optimum Wi-Fi. But that being said, we're going to see DDWRT already knows, so you shouldn't even be on those. Let's try 11. And we'll apply the settings. And my Wi-Fi on my phone needs to... It's going to reconnect as it swaps the channel out, so waiting for that to come back. Now, I do not expect much of a change truly on my wired line. However, let's see what we now get on the new channel, which is the same as the Optimum Wi-Fi channel, which others would be connecting to. So, significant difference. Really, apparently we even have a difference here on this one, unless that's just being flash and froze. But significant difference on wireless here immediately. And really the one here I would probably say on the computer is roughly the same thing. It's just a difference in, or it's just, this computer's just sick of running flash, really. So we're just going to save that and close it, but we see the wireless difference immediately, and we're going to hop back over to 9 and apply those settings, and you're going to see we're going to lose wireless momentarily, and then it'll pop back on to wireless once it requires on the correct channel, and then we'll restart this test. Still on the screen of the camera, yeah, look at it. And we're gonna see what that kind of comes back to, but yeah, I mean, it's, in my case, I mean, it's 1 or 2 megabits down, but it's, I'm recording this way past, it's 7 p.m. here already, and it's Friday, and most businesses closed about 4 o'clock here, at least in this area. So, yeah, I mean, you can see it's a big difference from just changing a simple channel, which, as you can see, is a 3-second fix. So yeah, that's that. I mean, listen, go out, grab your channel, find the best one. I put all the links to the softwares and resources and everything down there below. If you're having timeouts, if your connections just suck, run this quick test, see if you're on a very saturated channel. Swap channels, see if that doesn't fix your problems. Hopefully it does. Anyway, I'll see you guys for the next video, which hopefully would be a little bit more relevant to what I normally talk about. Take it easy, guys.